What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Shout out to TMZ and TMZ Sports. Link in the description. So, UFC superstar Ronda Rousey had some things to say about Floyd Mayweather. Again, link in the description in case you want to read the article and see the full interview with Ronda Rousey herself. I want to talk about it. And there are some things said in this interview that I just got to address. So let me talk about it. Now, one thing, when I was growing up, they had beefs like, let's say, Tupac versus Biggie. And I didn't understand at the time how powerful of a tool that the media can be. And what I mean by that, not to say that Pac and Biggie didn't have their own issues. They did clearly have a beef. But I think that beef was amplified by the media. The media constantly asking Snoop, Tupac, Dog Pound, Biggie, Puffy, and everybody involved, Lil C's, getting interviews, doing articles, MTV News, constantly talking about it and fueling. They're not like, Tupac, how was your day? Tell me about your new material. It was always like, tell us about Biggie, who rules the nigga kingdom, this and that. It was different. And I realize now in hindsight that the media is the ultimate instigators. You know what I'm saying? They're spin doctors. I've seen, like, literally, just in the world of boxing, I've seen reporters go to one gym and then they'll go to another gym like, hey, you know, he said something about you, he said this, and create that issue. You know what I mean? They create the tension. Like, you know, I just did an interview with this person, he said that. So, again, I understand it, but it's still a form of instigation. Like, oh, I'm going to repeat. I know this is going to piss them off because the other person was bad-mouthing or dissing this person. So let me say it and get that reaction. Let me get those ratings. So I understand how the game goes. But this Mayweather-Ronda Rousey thing is absolutely ridiculous. You got people who, in one breath, they'll write an article saying Mayweather, the ex-con, and woman beater, or he's a domestic violence offender. Then those same writers or fans will make comments or articles and they're promoting and advocating a fight and fantasizing. It's like a fantasy matchup. Oh, Ronda Rousey would destroy Floyd, or Floyd would knock her out, or whatever the situation, whatever their stance is. That, to me, is ridiculous because it's a pipe dream. It's a fight that will never happen. It's almost like Ronda Rousey has a crush on Floyd Mayweather, if I'm being 100% frank, just because she's bringing up his name for no reason. And that's what I never understood. And trust me, in the words of my favorite fighter, Roy Jones Jr., I didn't want to have to do this, but y'all made me. I don't want to come out and bring the big guns out, bring Ego Valley out and really do a video where I bring all the facts out like I do and stats and then really bury y'all. So stop with this UFC is taking over and boxing is dead. That's not the truth. And what Ronda Rousey said in her interview with TMZ is not the truth, and I'm going to explore that in this video. I like the UFC. I love boxing. They're two different sports. Let them be great in their own right. Let Floyd be great. Let Ronda Rousey do her thing. They're both dominant in their own respective divisions and respective sports. Let it be that. But stop trying to fuel this stupid fire about Ronda Rousey and Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? They're not going to fight. But I never understood how people could say boxing is dead, yet you have tons of people in the UFC, tons of them, constantly talking about boxing, whether they're talking about Mayweather Pacquiao or challenging Mayweather. You got Conor McGregor, you know, I will dismantle Floyd Mayweather, and he's just not man enough to step in my world. Like, he's calling Mayweather out. Ronda Rousey's constantly taking jabs. She won an award at the ESPN ESPYs, red carpet. They're handing her the award instead of saying, oh, I want to thank God, I want to thank my family, they were strong, they stood by my side, my trainers, my sparring partner, whatever. You're not doing that. The first thing you think of is to get back at Floyd for some shit he said to you a year ago about who is Ronda Rousey or whatever. That's crazy to me. You look at Anderson Silva. I've heard like all them dudes in UFC bring up boxing. So stop saying boxing is dead, right? Dana White talking about boxing. I have no problem with the UFC, but let's call a spade a spade. Let's call it what it is, period. You know what I mean? And I don't see this in boxing. I don't see this behavior. I don't see it, me personally. Right now, Cotto and Canelo are on a press tour promoting their fight. And I don't see Canelo Alvarez mentioning, hey, I'll dismantle Donald Cowboy Cerrone. He ain't a cowboy. I'm the real cowboy. Or calling out Nate Diaz. I don't see Canelo doing those things. But I do see the people in the UFC constantly calling out Floyd, mentioning Floyd. It's an easy way to get in the headlines. So let's not kid ourselves. All these writers, boxing is dead. All these fans saying boxing is dead. UFC is taking over. If that is the case, why aren't boxers challenging and calling out and constantly talking about the UFC. Don't get me wrong, there's fighters out there who support Bermane Stiverne, trains with Frank Mir. Andre Berto is friends with Conor McGregor. So there is a level of mutual respect. But what I'm saying is you don't see the beef, the rivalries, and the call-outs from boxers. Boxers let UFC fighters be UFC fighters for the most part. But only in the UFC, you see them trying to get that quick meal ticket by constantly bringing up an immediate headline. Oh, I'll beat Floyd and dismantle him. I make more money than Floyd, or whatever the situation. Floyd Mayweather said, I can call him when I make $300 million. Well, he could call me when he learns to text, read, and write. Like, okay, I guess. Pretty unoriginal, pretty cliche, but whatever. If that's funny to you, roll with it. But what she said after that is really what I gotta really break down. She says she did the math, and through her calculations, she makes more than Floyd Mayweather per second. Like, okay, let's break this down. I'm not the smartest brother in the world, but we're gonna do some simple mathematics. Now, I realize that some of her fights last 8 seconds, 14 seconds, 34 seconds, in that neighborhood, because she's dominating these other chicks. But Floyd Mayweather just fought Manny Pacquiao and earned $300 million to fight Pacquiao. Let's take $50 million off, because I don't have an exact figure. Take $50 million off, $250 million. Ronda Rousey, her checks are probably around the neighborhood of $200,000 to maybe $500,000. You're not even getting $1 million. In the sport of boxing, and this, I'm telling you, you don't want Ego Valley to adjust this, because then I'll really bring out the big guns. This is a freestyle video. In boxing, journeymen get that. Guys like Jesus Soto Caras, guys like Devin Alexander, who are solid fighters, but not necessarily the most flamboyant or popular fighters, like a Mayweather, Canelo, Cotto, Broner, where their names are just constantly being talked about in the sport of boxing. That's not the same type of pay. So I don't care about who makes more money per second. Like, that's ridiculous. At the end of the day, if someone walked up to you and says, hey, you won the sweepstakes, I'll deposit $300 million into your bank account or $200,000, what would you pick? And I think we all know the answer. So I'm not agreeing with that math. I mean, that's ridiculous to say you make more per second when he's clearly making more than you in general. Floyd Mayweather fought Robert Guerrero. Again, not a household name, not a huge star in the sport of boxing. He's a respected guy. The boxing fans know him, but especially at the time before he fought Floyd, he wasn't just like, his name is ringing bells like a Cotto, Pacquiao, Canelo, or some opponent like that. Maybe even a Triple G. Robert Guerrero's name didn't hold that type of weight. Floyd fought him and still got a guaranteed $32 million, and I'm sure a portion of the pay-per-view proceeds. There's no comparison. Floyd Mayweather just bought a Koenigsegg that is worth more than your whole paycheck. He bought a car that was $4.8 million, 2 of 2, made in the world. So it is really no comparison. I don't even understand why you would attempt. Like, you don't even have to be a math major. You don't even have to be good with math to understand that doesn't equate. You make more per second, yet he just bought a car that is worth more than what you got paid for your fight. And to keep it all the way real, Floyd Mayweather does a lot of this with minimal endorsements because people don't like him, or they don't want his face to be the representation of their brand, or whatever the situation, whatever their beef is. Hugh Blot, there's a couple people, Burger King, but that's only around the Pacquiao fight time because that was such a massive fight. But before that, he didn't have any endorsements. UFC fighters need endorsements because their paychecks, what they get for a fight, is very moderate, very low. Dana White is really raking in the dough because he's putting on good fights. He's putting on fights that the fans want to see. I give him that. Like I said, I don't have a problem with the UFC, but the pay scale is nowhere near. So, I mean, saying I make more per second sounds ridiculous. That's like a channel. Let's say there's a YouTube prank channel that has 100,000 subscribers and a high viewership. And then there's a smaller channel that has 1,000 subs. And the channel with 1,000 subs is saying, you know what? I make more per video when you average it out than the channel that we know is more successful with the higher viewership. Like, who cares about, like, okay, they put out more videos, and per video, let's say this smaller channel gets more money per video when it's all averaged out. But who's making more money? a channel with 1,000 subs or a channel with 100,000 subs. Simple mathematics. Smarten up, Nas. 2 fights in 2 years. I can divide. Let me know what you guys think. Who makes more money, Ronda Rousey or Floyd Mayweather? Again, stop this nonsense. Ego Valley doesn't need to address this. I'm trying to keep it all the way PC and not bring out the big guns and all the facts and things like that. We know the answer. These two will never fight anyway, so it's almost a dead issue. But stop pushing this fake agenda. Either you like men and women fighting or you don't. Period. They're both skilled fighters. Let them be that. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like my video as always. Hey, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.